All right. Well, I'm Connor Fergus, and welcome to Door to Door to the Top Floor, the podcast about personal growth and development, where honestly, we're just trying to get better every day. But I'd like to welcome my guest, Mr. Will Z. Tidwell. What's up, man?
Hey, my God, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to finally connect with you. It's pretty crazy that it's almost the end of March. We've been in this pandemic for a year.
Yeah, brother.
What's
Man.
your COVID story? I mean, obviously you're in a different part of the country.
Right.
What happened to you from March until I guess now?
Um, you know, I think I kind of had the reaction everybody had, bro. I think it was kind of like, oh, well, it'll blow over. A couple of
Yeah,
weeks, right? A couple of weeks. We'll stay inside for a week or two, and then we'll be back in. And this is how I knew. I thought it wasn't a big deal because one of my main fields I work in is community outreach. So that we were in the middle of building out a 10-week youth program where we were teaching the kids entrepreneurship and the arts here. And
okay.
we were literally, bro, in the middle of a meeting inside of my facility at the time with my team having just a strategy meeting on how we are going to do certain things for the 10 weeks. And one of my close partners that I work with closely, she walked in the room and she said, "Have you not heard what the governor said?" And I was like, "What did he say?" And she was like, "We're moving into phase 2 or 3 at the time," and it was like no people over, I think 8 people in a building or something like that, and we were preparing
Yeah,
to have 60 kids, right? 45, 60 kids, something like that. And so I'm like, oh, what it'll blow over. I'm still trying to be positive, right? And
yeah,
she pretty much shut it down, let me know like it was just a no-go, man. And we lost a great amount of money from
yeah.
that, because that was gonna bring a big chunk of change in for us and stuff like that. So it hit hard, man. But like like I'm sure you've heard and your audience has heard plenty of times, you know, the best entrepreneurs and the best leaders are the ones that can take that punch in the mouth, and then you sit down and you figure out how to pivot. So for me, it was figuring out how do we still do what we do, in the midst of
Yeah.
this strategy right now. So that's my story, man. And I learned a great deal from it, brother.
I bet. Yeah, I think I mean COVID has kind of forced you to do a lot of things differently. And even like I've never spent this much time at home. I've never
Oh
really
my God.
sat in front of a computer this much in my life. So many different things. Like for me, I was doing direct sales face to face. I was doing door to door, like leading these big teams. And obviously there's no face to face, especially in California. We were hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I heard.
And we shut down everything. All business closed. And I had like a job that I couldn't really do. I quit my job. I got into this podcast thing, and everything's kind of been an adventure since then. But yeah, definitely COVID has really forced me to grow. Um, but just to give my audience a little background, so I met Z virtually
Yeah,
online. He had it was kind of on accident, to be honest. Z, I think the podcast episode was called "Believe in You," right? The one
I believe
that
so.
got connected. Yeah, I had watched it on YouTube, but I followed this page called Wealth, and Z kind of went viral from there. There's like 250,000 follows. Like they have like 3 million followers. Have you ever went viral like that before?
To be honest with you, bro, not like that. You know, I mean, I've done some numbers, but not like that, bro. And it was so crazy. It was actually originally another page, Say Less Lifestyle. Shout out to those young guys, and they young cats, bro. They're like 20.
Yeah,
Um, and they're, TikTok, the reach on TikTok is crazy. The organic
crazy.
reach is crazy, bro. And so, if you're listening to this, you need to be on there, and it's so crazy. That video that went crazy is a year old. I put
Oh,
that
really?
that episode a year ago, right? And the people that Say Less that I mentioned, they started their company a year ago, and their whole page is kind of like Wealth. They're just posting motivating information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Educate people, that type of thing on their page. And they saw it first on their For You page, and they posted it, and it went viral on their page first. I think Wealth saw it from there, and both of those guys have like you said, over 2 million followers, bro, and it just blew up from there. So like I've never had that type of attention drawn to me. Like I'm used to my local down south
Yeah.
love, right
Yeah.
where I am, but like I'm getting love from everywhere, bro. From
Yeah.
Australia, from Cali, from Toronto. Like it's crazy, bro. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's so cool. I just, when I was getting ready to do this episode, I was talking to like buddies of mine. I was like, man, I'm having this guy on the podcast next week. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like when you messaged me and was like, hey, thanks so much for resharing. I was like, oh, like this is the guy, this is the man behind the post, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we connected, and there was a lot of things. I listened to a bunch of your content, did my homework, and there was a lot of things that really resonated with me, and kind of some stuff I wanted to dig into with you. But before we get into that,
Yeah.
what is it about creating content that you like? Like, why do you create content?
You know what, bro? And I never really tell this story because I feel like sometimes people kind of deadbeat this type of story to make people feel sorry for them. And sometimes I feel like people maybe even be lying, and sometimes it just becomes cliche. But a lot of people don't know this about me, and some people do. When I was 17 years old, my parents, I come from a two-parent background, so I'm not one of those guys that try to stunt like I came from this struggle. I had a great lifestyle, growing up, two-parent home, nice house, never really wanted for anything. But then everything changed. My parents separated, and I became homeless for a while, right? Just kind of couch surfing and sleeping in my car and stealing it, that type of thing. And
Right.
you know, it went from me playing sports to not having sports anymore because I lost my scholarship due to having to help my mom get on back on her feet, right?
Right.
And I was in a really dark space, bro. And I remember right before I graduated from high school, I graduated at 17. I used to be in this poetry club. Like, so every day during lunch, I would go to this, class, and it was other poets and creatives in there. And some reason I just gravitated to it, but I never paid much mind because I was playing sports, right? But
Right.
once I graduated, I needed some way to just express myself, get that stuff off my mind that I was dealing with of the situation I was going through at the time. And so I just found a piece of paper and a pen and a notebook, man. And I just started writing, and just started kind of just putting my feelings down on paper. And then it went from me putting it on paper and sharing it maybe with one of my partners, one of my homeboys,
Right.
to recording it, right? And then I said, maybe, forget it. I'm gonna post it. Can we cuss on here?
Yeah. Yeah. Do what you
Okay.
do.
So I was
My
like, fuck it,
show. Yeah.
I'm gonna post it, right? And
Right.
so I remember the first time I posted it, man, it just, it got a lot of love, not like the love we talking about this video, but it got some decent, nice, attention, right?
Yeah.
And it just felt good to get that weight off my shoulders. And what I noticed is that when I was creating that content, not only was it helping me, but I was helping so many other people.
Yeah.
I was inspiring so many other people that was going through the exact same story. Because we think we so different a lot of the time, bro. We think people don't understand us. Think people aren't dealing with the same struggles. Yeah, it might not look the exact same, but we feeling the same things, right?
Yeah.
And when I realized how powerful and impactful my words could be for people, that I could save people from certain things and help people through things and educate people, I just haven't turned back, bro. I just been creating ever
Yeah.
since, literally.
Yeah.
So I,
Yeah.
and I
I mean, I can definitely resonate with that. I think was it, this is episode 42. A couple of episodes ago, I lost my father at 14, and it was
um,
a little different story, but kind of the same thing happened to me, where like I was playing sports my whole life, like everything, life was good. Then my dad died, the main figure in the house, the role model, and like my whole kind of world changed.
man,
And a lot of people go through those things, and it's been 14 years for me. But I got on an episode and I talked about it, and I had never had so many people reach out to me and say, man, like, I'm so thankful that you posted that, because not many people are really that vulnerable to put themselves out there and just really
yeah,
speak the truth.
yeah,
Um, but I know a lot of people also, and people in my close circle too, that want to do content, that want to speak these good things, but they're scared or
right.
nervous. Or what advice would you give to people that, maybe they want to do content, they're just a little nervous about it?
Um, I think you have to just find out what you're most comfortable with. The best way that you communicate, right? I think it starts to being just real honest with yourself, because sometimes what happens is that we'll see, like for instance, if somebody that didn't know me saw that video and they saw it blew up, they would think that, oh man, I gotta make video content in order for me to gain a following or to be supported. And that's not the case, because if you're not comfortable speaking on video, if you don't feel like you articulate your words, very well, because what people don't understand is that, yeah, you saw that video, but like I just mentioned to you, I've been doing this for 7 years, bro. And if I showed you my videos from year one, I really sucked. But
Yeah.
I just didn't stop doing it. I was posting a video, bro, like every day, every week. I was posting something. You know what I mean? So I would say just figure out your best way that you communicate. If you write well, write. If you are comfortable behind the scenes doing a podcast and you don't want to do the visual to it, just do that and put the audio out.
Right.
with a dope picture behind it, right? I think
Yeah.
just figuring out the best way that you communicate and just practice.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I'm just blessed enough to have that triple threat where I can write, I can speak,
Yeah.
I can do the podcast, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But so if you can do that, do that.
Well, I want to get to know you a little bit more. Um, so you're from Little Rock, Arkansas, and like I said to you, kind of before we started, I never been out there. I've been kind of touched through it. I drove through it once from Cali, but what's it like growing up in Little Rock, man? Talk to me about that.
Um, it's one of those places where it's like it's bigger than a lot of those super small places. There are small places even smaller than the Little Rock, but like it's one of those places where pretty much everybody knows everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Real deep down Southern tradition. Some very dope creatives here, bro. And I think sometimes because we're a smaller place, a lot of people don't realize that, but there are some amazing people here in my city, man. That
Yeah.
just doing dope stuff, just like me, right? And
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't, see the other side of it, that this can be a very dangerous place to grow up too. People
Yeah.
don't get that. So I was always that cat, bro, that tried to just like, I grew up in the hood, but I wasn't no hood guy, right? I never tried to portray that because I just saw how early and young people, my friends, were dying and going to jail, and
Yeah.
that type of thing. I just didn't want to be that guy. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and say I always wanted to do what I'm doing, but I knew I didn't want to go down that path. So like I said, it can be a really dope place to be. I love, I'm proud of where I'm from, but you got to be careful, and you got to your head is on straight, and I
Sure.
you can do it. Sure. If you can make it out of Little Rock, bro, you can make it out of anywhere. I'll put it like that. So it's a pretty cool place, man.
So why haven't you left?
Because I feel like I have a lot of work left to do. I feel like I'm in the process now of just really building out that foundation, to where, pretty much when my company's here on like autopilot, I can, have the freedom to go and travel and stay at other places, like Cali and Texas and things like that for longer periods of time. Yeah. I can stay in those places for long periods of time and know that my businesses are running, and knowing that the social impact that I made in my city is ongoing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people look to help, work with the homeless. A lot of people look for me to create these different community initiatives and, and come up with, unique ideas just for our city in general. So I just have a lot of foundation left to lay. And then once I feel like it's in a place again where it's automated and I can just kind of work from wherever I am and it's still running, then I can pretty much kind of up and go. But I think I'm going to always have a house here because my daughter's, she's super young. She's 2. Just turned 2 yesterday. So happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah. She just turned 2 yesterday. So she's super young still. So she's a big reason for me staying. And my mom,
Sure.
She's getting older. So I'm having to stay with her and help her a lot. So I think those 3 main things are the reasons. So even when I do get to that point, bro, I'm always going to have a home here. So if I want to come back and stay for weeks at a time or whatever, I can,
Yeah.
So that's the goal, man. But yeah, I just feel like I have a lot of work left to do in the city, man.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I definitely could never see myself leaving my hometown full time, because I've been in the military and then I came back. I went to Hawaii and went to high school and then I came back. It's like home is always home and it'll never change.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because I mean, like you said, it's just, beside those couple of rough, bumps in the road, I'm sure like every city has. I love it, bro. And I feel like it has a lot of potential. I feel like I can be one of those, pioneers that can really bring some cool things to our city, to where hopefully eventually Little Rock can become an attraction. Like in Austin, Texas, like a Frisco, Texas, that type of thing. I feel like we can have that potential to reach that. And then we have a first Black mayor right now, which is a cool friend of mine. So I feel like those type of connections and friendships and things like that, putting our heads together, we can make this a place where it's like Little Rock versus, man, I'm going to Little Rock for the weekend.
Yeah.
I want to be one of those guys that make it that attraction. Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Yeah. Always trying to give back and grow your city, right? That's what made you.
Absolutely, brother.
I love that. And so I heard an interview a couple of weeks ago of you. I can't remember the podcast. I have it written down later on. But you were talking about kind of the story that you told earlier, where at 16, 17, you kind of went through that struggle, and you're really going through it.
You did your homework, bro.
I did my homework, man. I didn't come here to mess around with you.
I respect that, brother. I respect that.
Yeah. But you you stumbled across this purpose, and what you're saying is this kind of public speaking, and this sharing your story, and kind of, you know, that whole concept. Can you talk to me a little bit about, you know, the discovery process of you being like, okay, this is what I was meant to do? Tell me about that.
You know, it's funny, bro, and not to get religious or anything, but it's like, I'm big on faith.
Yeah.
The older you get, I mean, all throughout your life, it's like God will send like little signals to you of what you're supposed to be doing. But sometimes we don't notice it, and sometimes we don't want to accept it because we're so hell bent on what we want that we really don't even realize that He's trying to give us what we need, right? Because I solely believe in this mindset of something that my favorite speaker, Miles Monroe, said. He said that when you were born, there was something that God put on the inside of you, and He put it on the inside of you so that when you were put into this world, you could give what you were put on the inside of you with to the world, because that's what's going to make the world a better place. That's what's going to, you know, the people realize their purpose. People realize the gift they have out of them because of you. And since I was young, bro, I've always been in front of the spotlight speaking. I was the MC in my plays as a kid. I was the one doing public speaking, you know, I grew up actually at the Jehovah's Witness with my mother. I no longer practice that religion now.
Okay.
You know, on Sundays, I used to be the one giving presentations, right, and rock the house. You know, I used to do these different things, bro. I used to try out for different plays and kill it. And, you know, but I was like, that's normal. That's nothing, right? Because I was so hell bent on being in that space.
Right.
But, you know, I went through that storm, and I went through that tragedy. And when we go through those times, bro, we don't understand why in the hell we had to go through it. We don't get why would God make me feel that? Why would He make me go through this? Like, why would He even want to put me through that? And I've been doing right? We wanted those type of things. And I didn't realize that He did that to me. He put me through that. So when I came out on the other side, I was truly able to say that I was walking in my purpose, that I was truly able to say that I was walking because He every way where I had no choice but to focus on this. I had no choice. He put my back to the wall so deep to where it's like, all right, no basketball for you, no sports for you, no girls for you, no extracurriculars for you, none of that. Focus on this. Get into your writing, get into your gift, get into telling this story. Practice your storytelling. Sit up all night and study Les Brown and study, you know, all of these great speakers. Study these guys, and I did that, bro. Every night I would just sit up and watch these guys and study these guys and practice my stuff. And yeah, man, it's just funny. It's funny how He'll do that to you. He'll take everything else away, all your distractions, and we think that He's trying to hurt us, but we don't even know He's trying to help us.
Right.
So yeah, man, that's that story, bro, and it's. I've been rolling with it ever since, man. It's crazy because the same feeling I used to get, you know, maybe you heard this in that interview, the same feeling I used to get when I had a great night for our sports, like a 30-point game or hit a couple threes. I get that same feeling now when I speak. I get that same feeling now when we're doing this, bro. Yeah. I love it, you know. So He just took that passion that I have for this and He put it into something that where I can actually impact the world, you know, on a whole different level. So did that answer your question, bro?
Yeah, no, it did. And just to kind of follow up on that, obviously, you know, I think hearing you say it and explain it, it sounds a lot easier than I'm sure it was. I'm sure it came with a ton of struggles, tons of adversity. So many things I'm sure have happened to you from, you know, the time you were homeless to being a CEO, entrepreneur, business owner now. Talk to me about, like, you know, at least maybe inside your mind, how you're kind of able to just continue to battle on and push through these struggles.
It goes back to that mindset of that when you were born, it was something put on the inside of you and it's not for you. You remember that every day. You remember that the moment that you decide that you want, if you may give up, that if you let the adversity win, if you let this hard time that you're dealing with temporarily, you know, overbear you or whatever the case may be, I think about how many people that I may be impacting long term that may never get the help that they need because I gave up, that may never get this great service or product that I have because I gave up. Think about how many people you're impacting that you haven't even met yet. But see, because we can't see those people tangibly, because we can't, you know, because they aren't telling us how they relied on us, we don't think about it that way. But I think about it that way. I think about how if I gave up now, I'm hurting this person that I'm supposed to help 2 years from now. You see what I'm saying? I think about it in that type of way, and that type of mindset keeps me going. Now I have a daughter, bro. Now I have, and I work with kids every day that come from poverty. I work with these people that, I work with less fortunate men and women that are in poverty, and those type of being around those type of motivations will motivate you, and if that doesn't, then I don't know what will.
Yeah.
So yeah, bro, I have that type of mindset with it, bro. Like, it's bigger than me. You know what I mean? And I'll give you a tangible example of that. Like, I remember, like I told you, I'm in the community outreach space really tough. And I remember when I was like 18, maybe 19, I was just kind of starting to get back on my feet a little bit, right? And I was like, man, I want to do a backpack drive for the kids, right? I don't know where it came from. I was like, I just want to do it, right? And I did it, man. I raised like maybe $1,000, right? Something like that in this crowdfunding. And I did it in my old neighborhood. I did it in my old neighborhood, kind of like Nipsey. I wanted to get back in my neighborhood, food in my neighborhood where I grew up on the same block. And I did it, man, but I didn't understand the marketing behind it back then. I didn't understand the forefront work you had to put in, not just raising money and buying stuff. Like, you got to actually spread the word and do that work. And I didn't understand that. And so like 4 kids came and I was heartbroken. I'm like, I did all this and, nobody came. And so I was like, but me, I cried my few tears. I sat down and I was down on myself for a minute. And then I picked up those other 96 backpacks I had and I went door to door in the neighborhood and passed them out, right? I went to other places and passed them out, because I wasn't going to let that defeat me. Like I told you, because I knew it was somebody somewhere that needed it, especially coming from where I came from. I knew somebody needed that stuff. And you should have seen the faces on those, the faces on those different parents and those kids' faces. And then I did it the next year. And then maybe, I think maybe 150 kids came. Then we did it again and maybe like 400, right? Then we did it that 4th year, 1,200, 1,500. City was packed out, bro. I had the parking lot where we had was a big community center. It was packed. And I had everybody like, oh, this dude is serious. It went from year 1, everybody's looking at me like, oh, that's cute, right? That's cute. You want to do that. And they were making fun of me and laughing at me and all that stuff. But then when I packed out the city and now we done served over 20,000 people up to this day, all crowdfunded, all money we've raised ourselves, no public funding. People respected me a little more. But think about this, bro. The whole point is, what if I would have quit after year 1? Think about how many kids I would have robbed in year 4 that needed these same resources, these same materials, all these great things that we gave out. Think about how many people I would have robbed. So when that happened to me, that is the mindset I adopted from that point forward, and I've never looked back. And so I think if more people looked at things that way, that is bigger than you, is deeper than you, that your gift is not for you, then maybe they wouldn't be so quick to give up on themselves. Yeah. So
I love that. I'm gonna have to re-listen to this and kind of register that. But man, that's a really
mouthful, man.
No, that's a really cool story. And it's funny. Yeah, it's like, yeah, if you were to look back and not make a different choice, everything could be different for you now.
Everything could be so different, bro. I don't think I would be where I am today.
Yeah.
Because that's how I built a platform for myself, is through my community outreach, which led to me being able to have a platform to go speak, because I built a resume around, because you, obviously, as you know, as a speaker, people want to know, what have you done? Right. What have you done to gain enough credibility to come speak to my children, to come speak to this crowd, right? What have you done? Because a lot of people want to be a speaker, but they've never built anything. They've never done anything, and I was doing other things too. I was still writing and owned that company too, but like, that was really what kind of put me on a pedestal. It was like, I actually know how to build something on a bigger scale. Because I think we raised like, $10,000-$12,000, and I structured it really well. So it was like, oh, he for to be so young, to be 20, he did pretty good, right? So yeah, I don't think I would be where I am today without that, bro.
I love that. Well, kind of a similar question, a little bit different. This is more just for me, and I'm sure there's other people like me that have the same question. So obviously you fell into this purpose and you've been running with it ever since.
Right.
I guess something I've been struggling with, and maybe some of my listeners have as well, is
right.
I really want that too. And I don't know what it is for me. And I don't know really what necessarily my purpose is. And I have some ideas and stuff like that, but I don't know for sure. How do you kind of find that, or how do you discover that? Like, what was some advice you would have for me to try to figure out what my true purpose is, or what my quote unquote my why is?
I love giving examples because I think it makes it real. I think like analogy makes it really relevant, right? I know you're in Cali, so you guys might not have this, but do you have like a Sam's Club out
I know
there?
exactly what it is. Yeah, Sam's Club.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So like you ever remember, and I don't know if they still do this or not, probably not with COVID, but like before COVID, you remember on Sundays, bro, when you used to go in there, because my dad owns a barbershop.
Okay.
So every Sunday I used to go with him in there and he would shop for his shop to get snacks and toiletry stuff like that for the shop.
Right.
So every Sunday I would go and I loved it because they used to have all the free samples that they passed out,
Yeah,
right?
like Costco is over here.
Costco, exactly, where they used to have whatever they were selling in the freezer, you could get a sample of it, which would lead you to go get the big bag of it in the freezer, right?
Exactly.
So like as a kid, I used to first think, well, I don't like that. I don't like that. That don't look good, right? I don't want that. But I've never even had it. And so for me, I got into that mindset, well, I'm gonna at least try it. I'm gonna at least taste it, right? And I started discovering, even though I never had it before, it may have looked disgusting. I heard it was disgusting, but when I tried it, I loved it. And I think it's the same thing with discovering your purpose, bro. A lot of people, just like when I was that guy that downed poetry at one point because I was so big on sports, a lot of people see things that they haven't even tried because either they're afraid of it, they think that they're not going to be good at it, they think that it's going to be boring or whatever the case may be, and that they don't even give it a try. They don't even know that they might taste it and be like, oh shit, I want some more of that. Right. And I think it's the same thing with finding your purpose, bro. I think you just have to taste and try enough things. I think that, you have to think about what it is that you love doing in your pastime. And then I think the real struggle is not so much that people can't find their purpose, bro, is that they know what they like to do, but they can't figure out how to monetize it.
Yeah.
They can't figure out how to make a living off of it, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? I think that's the true disconnect for most people, because for a long time I was the same way. I'm like, I love to write, but back in 2016, how the hell was I gonna make a living off of that? Right? I love to talk, but how the hell am I gonna make a living off of that? But then I started doing my research. I start being around those type of people that could help me develop it. And now I have a really big ghostwriting company where I write for authors and I write for business plans for different entrepreneurs and things of that nature. And like you said, I'm speaking to the youth, and I love giving back. Like, how do I profit from that? Not because I'm trying to be so rich from giving back to people, but I still have to live. I have to feed my daughter, right? So I figured out how to build, different companies around where we can still make money, but I can still give back too. So I think that's the true part that people are scared of, is that they love to knit. They love to, I don't know, so many unique things that creatives out here love to do. They love to dress and all of these different things, but but how do I make money off of it? And that part is what a lot of people can't get past. So because they can't figure that out, they feel like that can't be their purpose. And I just feel like that's not true.
Yeah. Just do research and continue to dig, and there's ways around it.
Absolutely. And then you just continue to, like, so for me, what I would do if I was you. So for instance, if I say, okay, I love writing, I'm putting it at the top of my paper, I'm researching all of the different possible things that people do in that field of writing. Ghostwriting, obviously being an author, right? You might write curriculum for people, all of these different things. And then you just put all of your options and you go through and you circle through and see what you like. If I love to do fashion, I'm going to see all of the different types of titles that are in the fashion world. What can I do? If I love to talk, what are all my options? I can do a podcast, I can do speaking, I can do private consulting. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like you just have to really do your homework, like you said, right, and then figure out all of your different options, and you go through and circle what fits best for you. That was something I literally had to do. Yeah. And then I figured out how to build a business around it, Yeah. Yeah. So I absolutely, you know what I mean? I think that's the real disconnect. So, I hope that helps, everybody else too.
It definitely helps. And I definitely agree with the kind of, you found what it is, but getting to learn how to turn it to a profitable, a way to monetize it is kind of the struggle there. And that's something that I'm learning and I'm researching now, but I appreciate the answer, and definitely something I need to dig a little deeper in.
Absolutely, bro. And we can talk always offline, bro, about, just what you're working on and what you're passionate about. And we can just bounce ideas off each other, bro.
Yeah.
Figure out how to do that. So, you got my number. I'll make sure you have my number. Both my numbers after this, and we can always chop it up on FaceTime or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would love it. Well, absolutely. So how long has Speak Up Z been in business?
Speak Up Z started in this 2021. I booked it. I officially put it on in a LL. I officially filed for my LLC in 2016.
Okay.
So
So
like
5 years.
that was that period right when I was getting back on my feet. I graduated high school in 2014.
Okay.
And then that's when that big, that situation happened. And it took me about a year and some change to get back on my feet. And then that whole time I was writing and speaking and, just doing videos and stuff like that. And I was in that process, like you said, of just figuring out how, okay, I like this, but I really wasn't giving it much time because I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna make money from it. So I was just working at
Right.
Walmart. And then when I finally kind of start to figure it out, I got my first speaking engagement right into 2015. Um, I was starting to do like some ghostwriting for people on a simpler level. Yeah, I was like, oh, this give me a business, and then I went and filed for LLC because
Yeah.
in
Okay.
Arkansas it was only $50.
So 2014 to now, so that's what, like 7 years,
7 years, yep.
roughly, right? So that's how long you've been on this kind of entrepreneur route. What's the hardest part of being an entrepreneur? It's a hard question, big question, but
big question. Because it's a lot of shit that's hard.
Or some of the hardest things, we'll say.
Okay. I think one of the hardest things is, especially starting out, is believing. It's kind of like the video that we talked about in the video that that connected us, is believing in yourself when nobody else does. It sounds so cliche. It sounds like it's so simple, like, yeah, that's true. But think about that, bro. Think about, especially if you're surrounded by negative people, family. Sometimes, and especially because they're our family and our mom and our dads, because I come from that. I come from a negative family where, like, yeah, I came from a good background as far as having two parents, but they come from a working class. They come from putting in 30, 40 years of working the same job and then retiring and having a 401. They believe in that, right? But this is a totally different generation with us now.
Yeah.
And, I think it's very hard when you say, think about how crazy I sounded back then coming out of high school saying I wasn't going to college or I didn't want to go to college. I went to college, but I was so unhappy. You know what I mean? Which I was so hell trying to make other people happy, trying to please my mom so she can go brag to her friends about, oh, my baby's at this school and he's majoring in this. When I would talk to these guys and I would ask them, like, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? 90% of them would not even know. Right. And I'll ask you, what do you want to do? And they'll be like, bro, to be honest with you, I just did this so my mom would get off my back. Like a lot, they would sit up all day. We just smoking weed and we'll go eat and they just wait for the weekend to party.
Right.
So they were so hell-bent on just trying to make other people happy and please other people and that thing, just to get them off their back when they really may have a true passion to go start a company, to go, learn a trade. That's what they really wanted to do, but they were afraid to say it because they knew their parents were going to judge them because back then, success looked like graduating from high school, going to college. That's what success looked like for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And now we're in a pandemic and college has lost its value more and more every day. And I'm not, against college. If you want to go to college, do that. If you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, nurse, all that, of course you got to go to college and get the proper training. But I think if you want to be a fucking if you want to do fucking account, no, because you need that too. But if you want to do something that you feel like you can do without it, then don't just do that to please other people. I'll put it like that. Yeah. But the hardest part, bro, is having something you want to do, having a dream, and sharing it with people that don't have the same faith in you like you have in yourself. And sometimes you have to realize that the only person that's going to have faith in you is you. And that's a very lonely place to be. Because sometimes the thoughts of other people because it'll go like this. I'll tell my mom, think about how crazy I sounded 5 years ago saying, Mom, I want to speak for a living. I love giving back to the homeless. She's like, boy, you're going to be homeless. Yeah. Right? Like, you're going to be back in that situation again. How you going to make money from that? How are you going to make enough money to do that and live for yourself? Right? So imagine how crazy I sound. So you need to go to college. You sure you don't want to go back to school? Like that type of question she used to ask me. And then I used to sit there and be like, shit, do I? I'm like, nah, I don't. Because when I was there, I was miserable. Right? So it's like you have those conversations with yourself and then you leave our house and you drive in and you like, man, what the fuck am I going to do? Is this going to work? How am I going to make money? I don't know. But I know I don't want to work for nobody else for the rest of my life. I knew that, bro, but I just didn't know how to do it. So it's like you got to have a vision to see it even when it's not there yet. That's a very difficult thing to do. Yeah. But I feel like if you can just have that confidence enough to believe in yourself, and when you can find just one person that has that same confidence in you, I think you can win. I think, but I'll just stick with that one thing and say that's the hardest thing because that's the hump that a lot of people can't get over. Yeah. That's the biggest barrier that I think a lot of people face. And then the other thing is getting out of that mindset of having the perfect place to start instead of just starting.
Yeah.
Just start, bro. Because if you just start and you just put stuff out there, even if it don't look good, like I said, if I showed you my marketing and my stuff from 6 years ago, that shit was trash. But it's like I started.
Right.
I started and I built the platform, and I went, and every year, every week, every month, I went back and I looked and said, okay, let's do this. This is terrible. Let's take this out and do it better. And I just learned as I went. You know, I studied other people that were doing it really well, and you know, now we're here, and like even now, I'm sure I got some stuff I'm gonna look back on 2 years from now and be like, this was trash, but you know, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So I think I will leave with those two things, bro. Is you having faith in yourself when nobody else does, which is a very difficult thing to do because you start questioning yourself, and stop making the excuse that you have to have it all figured out in order to start, and just start. I think those are the two most difficult things for most people, and that's what keeps them from their dreams and their goals.
Yeah. You talked a lot about, you know, other, like kind of the negativity coming from others, haters, doubters. How do you deal with that specifically?
To be honest with you, bro, and this internet can be a very wicked place, if you allow it to be, you know. So first of all, I try to limit as much negativity that I put in my life and on my feed as possible. So I started to notice who I was following when I woke up in the morning, because a lot of people try to like judge you and say, don't get on your phone first thing in the morning. And I'm like, well, I would agree with that if all I follow was negative people and all I follow was, you know, a bunch of women just have clothes. I'm not against that, right?
Yeah. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you make money the way you want to make money. I'm not doubting you or judging you or nothing like that. No. But I'm just saying that I had to be more mindful of that, because I used to follow a whole lot of women that were, you know, doing that. I used to follow a whole lot of dudes that were just smoking and drinking and kicking it all the time. And I was becoming that guy. And so when I started to become more mindful of what I was, you know, consuming, because like they said, your diet is not just what you eat, it's what you see, it's what you're hearing, all of those great things, right? When I started to be more mindful of that, you start to kind of just block out the noise, bro. And I'm not going to sit here and lie like it's easy, but it starts there, I think. Just being mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're surrounding yourself with. And if those random, you know, internet thugs come out of the works, you know, trying to judge you and all of those things, or even like you said, your family and all those guys may judge you, you know, you be respectful. You take heed to what they're saying. You let them know that you hear them, and then you move on with your life. And you know in the back of your mind, fuck all that. This is what I'm doing, right? And you just have to be strong-willed enough to say, you know, even though you judging me, even though you talking shit about me, even though you don't think it's gonna work, I believe it's gonna work, you know. And that's not an easy thing to do, bro. But just being mindful, I think, just really being mindful and really understanding, like, you know, if you believe it's gonna work, that's all you need, you know. And that's really how I deal with it, bro. Like, if my mom wants to be negative, or you know, one of my partners want to be negative, I might just laugh and say, bro, I love you, bro, and I'll move on the conversation. You know what I mean? Or I might just, you know, just be like, you know, I might even I might play devil advocate and say, why do you think it's not gonna work? Or what could I do differently then? Yeah, I might put it in the ball in their court and ask them, you know what I mean? I might be negative and say, okay, you're right, it ain't gonna work. Why not? And then they'll be like, and then they really don't know. And then they'll realize that they've been consumed by negativity so long, right? They've been around, you know, negative people and negative things, and maybe they did something that didn't work for them, so they'll try to project that onto you. And you will realize that it's not you, it's not your dream that's not going to work, it's that something that's going on with them. And so you realize for them, you don't get mad at those people, you don't hate those people, you have compassion for those people, because you realize, man, you're dealing with something. You're dealing with something dark enough to where you feel like you had to crush my dreams because of what you tried to do didn't work. And so, yeah, I don't get mad at those people or hate on those people. I pray for those people, or I laugh at those people, and I let them know, like, you know, thank you for that, but I got it, you know. So I kind of had that mindset towards it, bro.
I love that. Yeah, it's like, yeah, a lot of people speak from their own negativity, and I think
absolutely. And sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. Like for my mom, she's been married to my dad, who was, you know, I love him to death. He's super toxic. She's been with him for 40 years. All she knows is him. So she's around toxicity for 40 something years. She can't help but to be toxic, bro. So I don't tell her much. I don't tell her many things about my dreams when I'm with her or what I'm planning on doing, because she'd be like, well, what if this happens? And I'll be like, shit, I didn't even think about that, mom. Leave me alone. Like, let me do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just really how it happens. And I always said, I said this in a video not too long ago. I said, if a person can find it in their day and find the time to say something hurtful to you, or, say something negative to you, say something out of pocket to you to try to hurt you, imagine what they must be dealing with that they don't talk about. That they imagine what type of hurt they must be dealing with, that they felt like it was necessary enough to do that to you. You don't hate those people. You pray for those people, bro. You don't do that, because it's like they dealing with something dark and they may never admit it, but they are. You know what I mean? They dealing with something, bro. They hurt. And like you said, we all know, hurt people, man. And the last thing we need is another hurt person hurting somebody. So I don't move on and react with hate. I try to love them, bro, because they need that apparently, So I try to have that mindset towards it.
I love that. So in terms of your public speaking, where did this skill set come from?
Man, to be honest with you, bro, I think I just always talked a lot.
Yeah.
I think I just always talked a lot. I just wouldn't shut the hell up, man. I stayed in trouble in school for talking too much. I was never a disrespectful kid, bro. I just talk too much, couldn't focus, ADHD, just couldn't stay on one task for too long. And like I told you, bro, because of my mom making me grow up in that religion of being a Jehovah's Witness, we used to have this thing. We have a certain meeting with our congregation during the week of all the people, and we used to have this thing where we used to do different readings out of the Bible and stuff like that. So even though I don't practice religion anymore, I would never down it or anything, because I feel like it kind of molded me in a way at a young age. So when I used to have to do these readings, my mom would make me sit at the desk with her for hours, bro, hours, and just practice it until I got it right. Because when you're reading, she wanted me to make sure that I was reading when it was time for a big finish, that I did it properly, that when I needed to slow down and enunciate and make people feel the words, she made me do that really well. So now when I speak, I'm very mindful of who I'm speaking to. I'm very mindful of when I need to go high and when I need to go low, when I need to, project. I'm very mindful of all those things now, because people think you can just get up and talk. No, it's an art to this,
Definitely.
And again, like I talked about earlier, it's crazy how God will give you those flashes of your purpose at a young age. So those late nights at the desk when my mom used to piss me off when I'm 7, 8, 9 years old, because she's making me sit there for hours reading the same thing over and over again, it was molding me. And so I think that plays a huge part in me being able to speak the way I speak. That, and then like I said, just I told you, bro, I used to make a video every day. I used to make a video every day for 2 years straight. I used to just get in front of my phone and just record, record and watching my body language, and I have to do it over and over again. That helped a great deal. So just repetition, bro, repetitions and putting in that time that I didn't even realize that I was, what it was doing for me at the time. But I think that plays a great part in me being able to speak that I am.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna rewind kind of the opposite way. What about you got any horror stories? Has there been any speaking experiences where just things didn't go well?
Well, speaking?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. What? I would be sitting here lying, bro, if I said that I didn't, man. What? Let me tell you, which one you want?
Let me hear a fun one.
Let me give you man, let me think. All right, I remember one. First time I ever spoke publicly, I'll tell you that one first. I spoke at a college. I spoke at Henderson State, which is here in Arkansas, small state school down in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. It was actually for one of my friends. She put me on because she knew I was trying to get my feet wet,
right,
doing it. And I got up there, bro, and I didn't understand how when you speak, if you're gonna have notes. Listen to this, people, if you're trying to get into the speaking game or you're just starting. If you want to have notes, do not write out your full speech. Do not write out all of your exact words, because what you're going to do is you're going to get up there and you're going to literally use it as a crutch. Because when I got up there, bro, I got up there and I was reading it almost verbatim, because I was so nervous. My hands were sweating, my knees were buckling, and everybody was just staring at me with a blank stare. Right, I was scared as shit. I was about to shit on myself, right? Yeah. And it was I knew what I was supposed to say, but because I was so nervous, I couldn't focus. I just kept reading off the paper verbatim, which was, as you know, was very boring. It was very monotone. It was terrible. It was terrible, bro. And it got so bad where I could feel how boring I was making everybody, to where I just walked off. I literally just stopped talking, and I went to sound. I was like, let's just wrap this up. I was like, I don't want to do any more. It was bad. And like I said, my friend that was over the event, she literally had to run up there and was like, okay, moving on. And I was like, it's terrible. Like, it was bad, bro. And so that was where I started learning my first lesson, that if you're gonna have notes, you need to just have bullets and an outline. So all you got to do is be able to look at that point, and okay, this is what I'm talking about, and now walk away from the paper, and now I can do my thing. So I learned that lesson very young, bro. That was probably the most terrible. And then another one, I got up there and I was supposed to, and I was speaking. I was so pumped. I had practiced it. I knew it. I thought I did, right? I thought I did. And I got up there, and my mind just went blank, bro. Like I don't know what happened. And the same thing. I don't know why I got a bad habit of this. I just go sit down. I just got down. I just went and sat down. I didn't say anything, and people were looking like, okay, like, is he all right? Like, did he, like, what happened? And I say, y'all know what? Y'all can keep the check. I don't even want the money because I know I didn't do this well. Right. I didn't even say anything, and I just went home, man. And I beat myself up for a long time, bro. And then times like that, bro, is when those thoughts of what other people said that didn't believe in you creeps into your mind.
Can't do it. Can't make it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. You sure you don't want to go back to college?
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to go get a job? Mm-hmm. You sure? Like, those times when you fuck up like that so terribly is when that type of stuff start to creep in. Yeah. And then so what I did is that's when I really locked in after that second time, because that started pissing me off. Like, I know I'm better than this, right? So I started really locking in, studying the greats. Like, I used to study Les Brown for like a year straight, bro. It got to the point where I would mute the video and just watch his hand movements, just watch his demeanor. I used to watch how he'll open it up with a super grabbing, because Les Brown would say something super, something that would just grab your attention, and then he'll go with the story. Then I will watch how he transitioned from this point to the next point. I watched all of that, bro. I used to study that crap. And when I started really breaking it down like that and taking notes on it and watching it over and over again, I went and did one for a church one time, and I murdered it, bro. And I never looked back. Man.
I love that.
Yeah.
The good and the bad, right?
Absolutely, brother. And you just, again, that I think that point you asked me earlier about what's so hard about entrepreneurship, that's why I said having faith in you when nobody else does, because you got to be able to do that with the good and the bad.
Right.
Yeah, that's when it's hard to do. And when you fuck up and you fail, or a customer bails on you, or a customer talks bad about you, and all of those things. When those type of things start happening, you got to still believe in it, bro, if you truly want it. So I think that's where that type of stuff comes into handy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And hearing you speak, you have a lot of. I can definitely tell you're extremely driven. You're very purposeful behind what you do. You're really self-confident. Like, where does that confidence and this belief in yourself come from? Is that something you've always had? Have you always kind of been pretty confident, or is this something that you built over time?
I was a real chubby kid, bro. I was a chubby kid, bro. So like, I always had to be. I always had to stand up for myself. Yeah, I always had to stand up for myself. And then once people saw how cool I was, like, they fuck with me. And then they knew that I grew up in that part of town, right there in the hood. Like, I wasn't a hood guy, like I said, but I grew up right there. So a lot of them knew me from there too. So it was like, oh, he cool, right? And they just knew they weren't finna fuck with me and just bully me and nothing like that. So I always had to have that confidence, because I had to keep people off my back. You had to be able to Joan. You had to be able to Joan and Rose back, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that confidence and that energy transcended from that into this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely, bro. Because I was a chubby kid, bro, and I wasn't going. Like, you weren't finna sit up and just talk about me and push on me every day.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And have me and going on me in front of everybody. No, hell no. So I was always on my toes, and that energy just kind of, I think, transcended into what I'm doing now, bro.
I love that. Now, something I'm really big on, and maybe it's just because I'm a military guy and like the athlete, and it just all blends together. But I'm
Right.
huge into habits and routines. Like I'm constantly assessing my routine and like reevaluating it. And I'm a little hard on myself about it, but I think all successful people are trying to push themselves.
Absolutely.
Give me a little glimpse of your morning routine. I mean, it's the morning now, at least for me.
Right. Yeah. It's 11. Yeah. It's damn near noon here, but yeah, still technically.
Yeah. So, what's your
Uh,
morning routine look like?
it really depends, bro. I'm I'm I I'll say this for the people listening to. Don't get so hell bent on other people's successful routine that you are afraid to make your own. Again, I think it goes back to self awareness. So for me, if I have a whole lot of work to do, right, that really keeps me up late at night, I might stay up to work, all throughout the night up until 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I might go sleep and wake up at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and then go back and start my day and shower and work again. But I try to, on a normal night, I try to be in bed reasonable hour, and get up about 6:30, something like that, maybe, in that range, maybe earlier, depending on how early I go to bed. If I'm super tired and I lay down early, I might wake up at 4 or 5, and get up, bro. I like to just listen to like maybe jazz music, man, or I try to put something motivational or something peaceful in my ears for those first 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
It might be less it might be Miles Monroe, might be, whatever I want to put on.
Sure.
And once I kind of get that set in the mood, I'll start just kind of looking at what I need to do for the day as far as my tasks go. I don't do any work until about 10 a.m. I don't do any work on a normal day till about 10 a.m. because my mind got to wake up and I got to get, I got to get my mind right and all that type of stuff. And then typically I just kind of, like I said, that peaceful part, I check my email type of thing. I reply to all my DMs. Like that's how I end up replying to you. I try to reply to everybody. I try to reply to every comment for the first couple hours of the day. And then I go right in, checking in with my team, making sure they're doing things as far as tasks and stuff goes, and make sure they're good. And then I jump into my work day, bro. And I'll work from about 10 till about at least 10 to about 8, right? As far as like just out moving, working, right? Unless it's like one of them days I'm at home on the computer. And then I just kind of settle down at that, man. So typically, I get up, get my mind right, and I work for about 12, 13 hours a day, 14 hours a day.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everyone has a different routine.
Everybody's super different.
I'm super like military with mine. I like have a set.
It's strict every day, right? Yeah. I have a short attention span, so I would get bored doing that every day.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But some people would lose their mind doing something different every day. Some people, so it's all depends. Again, I think it goes back to who are you and what makes you the most comfortable. Who, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of people are so unhappy in this world because they're unaware of who they are and what makes them happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, I learned quick that because when I watch most interviews, you hear them say, "I wake up at 3:30. I'm work. I do this and I get a workout in," and I'm like, okay, I ain't doing that, but okay, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, everybody's different.
Everybody's super different, bro. And I think we all can get to success the same way, just your own way. But I do realize that I do notice that every person's successful routine, they do these 3 things. They have time for meditation at some point in the day. They do some type of workout or some type of active moving. So for me, having a detail shop, I'm always moving. And then I love to go hoop still with my homies and stuff like that. So I didn't mention that we hoop a lot too. And then I might go run or something like that. And what's the other thing I notice a lot of other people do? They wake up super early. They always get a workout in. They have that peaceful time for themselves, and they put in at least 12, 13 hours of work a day.
Yeah.
It might not be super hard, rigorous work. They might not be working 13 hours straight, but typically they answering the phone, they're talking to their team, they doing that stuff throughout the whole day. I noticed that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Everybody's different. For me, I try to knock out the 2 hardest things for me to do on a consistent basis is read and work out. I try to do that first, so the rest of the day it's easy.
It's easy, yeah. And the crazy thing is, bro, I'm not a big reader.
Neither am I. I'm forcing it.
Big reader, bro.
Audiobook guy.
Oh my god, I'm an audiobook guy. Absolutely, I'm a podcast audiobook. Kind of just
this is
like
what I'm reading right now. I don't know if you could see it. What's the Mamba Mentality? I'm a diehard Kobe fan, and it's a very basic, easy read book, and I could read about Kobe Bryant all day and night. So
I know he's dropping a lot of gems in there, bro.
Oh my god, you read it already?
I haven't, but I'm sure of it.
I'm about halfway through, and it's extremely detailed and it's really, really cool. So definitely take a look at it.
I'm gonna have to, man. See, now I can read it if it's like you said, it's short to the point, good. But like them 300,
the words are like this big.
Oh yeah,
It's good for me.
Yeah, when they using big ass words and it's 300, 400 pages. Even though I'm a writer, I can write all day long, but I can't sit up and read for 2 hours a day. I can't do that. I can't do that, bro. I can't do that. But like sometimes some people can't sit up and listen because they might not retain the information. But I can do that, and you know, my notebooks are full of notes of me just listening. I can, because it's in the background. I'm listening. I might be doing my other thing. So
right.
So
the last thing I got for you, and I saved it for last for a reason. I heard you on, and this is the podcast that I heard. It's called The Speaker Secrets. So shout out to The Speaker Secrets. I heard you on a podcast with them, and and the question you asked was a really big question, but I really loved your answer, and I want to hear it again in whatever way you can repeat. So your advice to the audience was, before you die, live. Do you remember that conversation?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
I think a lot of times, bro, most people are afraid to die, not because of death itself, but because they feel like they haven't done enough to be remembered by. Because like I said, I keep going back to Miles Monroe because he's my favorite speaker besides Les Brown. He talks about how when you're on your deathbed, and even Les Brown talked about this in his own way, when you're on your deathbed, all of those things that you never did, that I should have did, that I could have did, that I would have did, they come back to haunt you. And it's almost like they come back in the form of monsters while you're laying on there getting ready to transition over. And that is what scares a lot of people. Man, I wish I would have did this. Dang, I wish I would have said this. Dang, I wish I would have let this grudge go. Dang, I wish I would have went here like I said I was going to do for 20 years. Right? We all of these things start to consume our mind. And we realize it's sad that when we get there, that's when we realize that all we kind of did was exist. We never gave our gifts to the world. We never gave that thing that God put on the inside of us to the people that were supposed to have it. Because the true thing I feel like of a legacy is that even when you're gone, even when you leave, you left something that people can remember you by forever. Mm-hmm. That's the definition of legacy to me. Think about it. Kobe's gone. It was tragic. But I guarantee you, from Arkansas to fucking Czechoslovakia, we know who Kobe Bryant is.
Better believe it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That to me is legacy. That to me is that even though I feel like Kobe died a tragic death, he had so much more he was going to give to the world. I'm not saying he was supposed to die or no crazy shit like that. I hate when people say dumb shit like that. It was meant to happen. I hate that dumb shit. But like, I honestly believe, bro, he did what he was supposed to be doing. His whole life he lived from day one. Right. And so, yeah, before you leave this earth, man, do what's on your heart to do. If you got this dream it, do it. If you say you want to go to this place, figure out how you're going to get there. You got this new idea you're working on, figure that shit out. Because I think sometimes we feel like we have all this time in the world, and not to rush anybody, because a lot of us, like me, you 28, I'm 24, we got time, we young, but we don't got fucking forever.
Yeah.
We don't got forever. Life can be gone like this. And so I try to live in that mindset that it can be gone like this, so I need to be living like this. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is why I don't believe in let me have it all together before I start. Fuck that, I'm starting, because I could be gone tomorrow. Fuck that, I'm starting today. And so I think if more people adopted that mindset, we would die, at old age, a lot happier, because we'll be a lot more pleased knowing I've done all I was supposed to do. Now I can rest. Now it's my time to transition over, because I've done what I was called to do. I've given my gift to the world, right? And a lot of people die with so much left in them, and then it takes for them to be there to realize, damn, I never did it. I let a lot of people down, that type of thing. So that's where that analogy came from.
Yeah, I love that. Well, where can we connect with you, man? Thanks so much for being on with me. Where can we connect with you?
And you can connect with me on any social media platform, bro. Instagram is Will Z Titwell, Will ZEE Titwell TIDWELL. TikTok is Neighborhood Hero 96. Twitter is Speak Up ZEE. What else, bro? Facebook, Will Z Titwell, same as my Instagram. What other platforms? There's so many of these motherfuckers. And I think that's it, man. And you can always text me directly. I got a text-free number. It's 501-348-5550. So yeah, man. Any of those social media platforms, DM me, ask your questions, connect, anything, collaborate, all of those great things, man. I'm an open book. I don't, I feel like even when I get to that certain level, which I feel like I will be at some point, I'm never going to be that guy that doesn't DM people back or doesn't talk to people. As long as I don't know weird shit. But I love to connect, man. I love to collaborate. I feel like that's what life is meant to be. So yeah.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for getting on with me. I'm sure our listeners really appreciated it. And next time, man.